Hello, and welcome to this episode of The Inner Estate with your host, Bridget Stuart. Our guest today, Randall Kenneth Jones. Randall, thank you for being here with us today.
Bridget, I'm happy to be here with you today.
I'm so thrilled that you're here.
This is cool.
I know
This is cool. This is
I
great.
introduced you as Randall Kenneth Jones, and you go by Randy. So the rest of it, I will be calling you Randy.
Randy is, you want to hear why?
I do want to hear why, yes.
Okay, so it's Randy Jones, not Googleable. Very difficult to be Googleable when you're Randy Jones, especially. And bless his heart, there was a pitcher for the Padres, San Diego Padres, who was named Randy Jones, who recently passed away. I never met him. I wish I had. He actually followed me. I discovered close to the end of his life, he was following me, which was really sweet. But when you have a common name, Randy Jones is the name of the original cowboy in the Village People.
Yes, that's right.
And I friended him on Facebook, and I said, we have the same name. I love having the same name. We have some mutual friends. Please, please, please. This is 15 years ago or whatever when it first came.
Right.
Be my friend, be my friend. And then I look at his bio. We have the same birthday.
Wow.
And we're still Facebook friends. We have mutual friends. But in order to be Googleable, I use my full name. And Kenneth being my late father's name means a lot to me to carry his name forward as part of my profession. Yeah.
Well, and it's a pretty awesome name. Randall Kenneth Jones it's a great name.
It's a bit snootier than me, but
I like it. So mine is Bridget Ann Stewart, and for a lot of the same reason, oftentimes in my marketing, it's Bridget Ann Stewart, but here I'm going by Bridget Stewart. It's funny that you mentioned that about Facebook. Way back, like 2010, I did the same thing. I did a Facebook search on Bridget Stewart's and then sent them friend requests. And I did it with Bridget Wiley, which is my maiden name. And it's funny how some of those turned into real friendships.
My son, he's Kevin Jones, and I think he friended all the Kevin Joneses. He friended all these Kevin Joneses, which I think is hysterical because it's so out of character for him. He's such a serious guy.
And it's funny, too. So there's a lot of Bridget Stewarts, and sometimes one posts and then we comment and they comment back. And sometimes other people get confused of like, wait a minute, what is it? What's happening with this? And so we have, that's funny that you did the same thing. So why are we here talking today after that fun trip down to the early days of Facebook?
Can we, and I'm jumping, I don't want to take over, but I have a podcast too, but let's thank Kelly Capolino. We wouldn't be here today.
Let's do that.
Without our friend Kelly Capolino. I am now in Missouri. You're in Arizona. I lived in Naples, Florida.
Yes.
And I was having dinner with my very dear friend, Kelly Capolino, who, let's do the commercial, the best realtor in Naples, Florida. And I'm really not.
100%.
I mean, she is the real
vouch
deal.
For that since 1999.
Yeah, worked. And there's a gazillion down there, and the sophistication she brings, the skill, the professional skill that she brings to it, the real true business skill, which is so important in that industry that she brings to it. But she invites us to her house because she's our friend, and you're there.
Yeah.
And you and I just kind of clicked, and we Facebooked from day one.
Yeah.
And I love that. I do too. I love those. Yeah, I think that's very special. It's showing that technology kept us together rather than technology always being the villain. Technology in this case was the hero because technology kept you and I together, where otherwise we wouldn't have been.
We wouldn't have been. Yeah, and it is true. And that was so delightful. She's a remarkable real estate agent, such an expert. And she's also just such a beautiful, down-to-earth, passionate person.
An amazing human being who gives and gives and gives and cares. She is salt of the earth.
You know what? I'm going to put her contact info in all the descriptions of your episode.
We know. We really should. There's really kind of nothing I wouldn't do for Kelly Capolino. Kelly Capolino, Kelly Capolino, Kelly Capolino. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So we are doing that.
She is not paying for this placement.
No, she is not. Yeah. This podcast is not sponsored. I want her to be a guest as well. So
She really needs to.
yeah,
Yeah.
because not only does she have her career and her profession, but she contributes to her community oftentimes in ways that you can't necessarily see. A lot of times it's behind the scenes.
Mhm.
You don't see what she's doing, but you see the results, and it's beautiful. So thank you for that reminder as well. I will be reaching out and getting her on the calendar. So yes, thank you to Kelly. And it is interesting. You and I have talked even now in this beginning about connection with people, human to human. And we both inadvertently, we talked about total strangers that we met on a fluke because we had the same name that turned into a long lasting relationship and
Yep.
communication. And then you and I met in real life and used technology, but
But we clicked in real life.
we did. Yes.
We clicked in real life,
We
which
did.
led to Facebook, which led to what, 12 years later? It's been a while.
It's been a while.
We're now doing this because
Yes.
I will jump on immediately and say nothing is ever going to replace human interaction.
Yes.
Nothing is going to ever replace standing face to face with another person and
Yeah.
feeling their energy, seeing their
Yes.
emotions, reading
The
their
nuanced
facial
little
expressions.
micro expressions. Yes.
And I applaud when technology is good and when it helps us. And I'm really fearful when it stands in our way. And I continue to see so many different examples of technology being used. Some people are using it almost exclusively
I know.
for every aspect of their communication. And it's not healthy, and it's not going to develop into relationships that have the depth of meaning that we all need.
I agree.
And I don't believe you're going to be as successful if you don't spend time really working on your own communication skills, understanding your own story. Understanding a huge part of my story is the fact that I talk too much. Big surprise. And I started doing the interviews that led to the first book in 2012 because I needed to shut up and listen. And I knew I talked too much. So I was like, if I interview famous people in Naples, Florida, and write a newspaper column, and I asked them, I said, can I do that? And they said, yeah. And I said, I don't want your money. I want to write a book. And you have my book, my first book that came from that.
Right.
It's because I talk too much. And I thought, if I do this, not only do I get to learn and meet cool people, and not only do I get a better life, but I have to shut up and listen. I have to teach myself to listen.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
You found a way to get out of your own way.
Oh, yeah. That's a good way. Yeah.
And I believe by doing that, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that you also allowed your natural curiosity to blossom, because in the quiet and in the interviews, you have developed and honed your curiosity skill and talent, which then makes you more engaging to everyone.
And I would agree with that. And I've never, ever thought of it that way before. But the other thing that's interesting is my interviewing for the newspaper that became book 1, that became book 2, that became my podcast started when I was 50.
Wow.
I was 50 and I'm 63.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And so curiosity, lifelong learning, legacy, truly trying to leave a better imprint on the planet, trying to look for my mantras that I try to look for the best in people.
So
And that's the way I choose to live my life.
I think that is remarkable. And if anyone's listening to this podcast right now who has ever had the thought to themselves of, I'm too this or that, I'm too old, I'm too blank, I'm too, whatever limiting belief you might have around yourself, Randall Kenneth Jones, you're an example of, you can start when you're 50.
I got you a better one. Got you a better one. And it happens to be right here. Spent
Patrick
an
Ryan.
hour and a half on the phone preparing interviewing Patrick Ryan, who I just happen to know because his mommy worked with my husband in Virginia. And so at his first book in 2006, 20 years later, we immediately connect. This was named the top book on Amazon.com in 2025. Buckeye by Patrick Ryan, the top book on Amazon.com in 2025 when he was 60 old.
60 years old. Is that the first book that he's published?
No, he has been at this for 20, 30 years. He has always written. This is the first novel that got published. He's had essays and stuff published.
Excellent.
But this is his first novel. But at 60, he doesn't just hit it big.
He's Read with Jenna.
He is on Read with Jenna. Everybody loves his book. It is incredible. And he's my friend now.
That's nice.
And I told him a story. When I read his first book in 2006, he intimidated me because I said, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't write fiction. I can't write fiction. I can never be as good as you. 20 years later, I read this book and he's better. But I went, you know what? I'm not going to let you intimidate me. A, I've written fiction successfully now. There's another story. But B, I'm going to let you and this book, Buckeye, make me a better writer.
Nice.
So it took 20 years for that shift. But it was very cool to tell him that.
That is very cool.
Yeah, that was very cool to tell him that.
So you know what? Speaking of telling, I am going to share with everyone just a snippet about you, and then we're jumping straight back in. So Randall Kenneth Jones, Randy Jones, you are published author. You are a storyteller extraordinaire. You even offer coaching, consulting, directorship in storytelling, and you're involved in the arts. You're involved in theater. So I just wanted to make sure. I realized we jumped straight in and I forgot to give people any point of reference. And you are fascinated with the stories and curious about how people have achieved what they've done and what led to their remarkable outcomes and impacts they've had on the world.
Can I interject more? Not how. A lot of people do
you
the
may
how.
100% interject. I just want to make sure I shared that little.
I'm more interested.
Podcast. He also has a podcast. I'll give all the.
I do have a podcast.
More.
On the Nose, KNOWS. And now, of course, I named it that because my nose is huge. But I mean, it's onthenose.com. I'm more interested in the why than the how.
Okay.
A lot of people focus on the how. I focus on the why. Why do you say this? Why do you feel that? Why do you think this way? And then I actually have learned to listen. I listen. And if you understand why people feel as they do, and you take the time and you dig and you make the first time you say why, you may get kind of a surface answer. But if you keep kind of finding why, if you dig down, and you find the real truth behind a belief, usually you can understand it better. And we're in a world where opinions and thoughts are so divided. And I do not want to talk about politics.
Right.
But the more we understand why, the more we can find a way to live together better. And I've seen that and I've lived that. And that's true.
Yeah. So in your opinion, why is that why so powerful?
It's interesting. I'm not sure that many people put a focus on. Like I said, I think they're more about the how and they're less about the why. But I think that's where the story is. The story is the why. There's a how-to book, and a how-to book is to put, slot A and slot B and that kind of stuff. The why-to book, there's no such thing. The why-to book is what I write. Why you do what you do. And maybe then how you can be better. If I can help anyone through this discussion, if I can literally help one person have a different perspective on any aspect of their life from this podcast, one person leaves this and says, you know what? I can listen better. I can come out of my shell. I can tell my story.
Right.
One person, then I had a phenomenal day.
That's how I feel as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had a great one person and I had a really great day. Just if the ultimate why that you need to know is why you do what you do.
Yes.
It's one thing for me to ask you. It's one to me, Bridget, hey, why Bridget? Why Bridget? Why Bridget? I've asked myself the same question. And since I was 50, I've been on that mission to understand me, as they say, warts and all. And I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of me. I'm not afraid of the mirror. I'm not afraid of looking in the mirror. I'm not afraid of the truth. My own why has set me free. How's that for a quote?
I love it.
My own why has set me free.
I'm going to steal
truth in it.
I'm stealing from Wayne's World. We're going to go back in time. And we're going back. Those of you that are listening, I'm doing the wavy fingers. I'm sure the YouTubers and Rumblers enjoyed that. Let's go back to Randy Jones at the age of 49. So what was happening prior to your major connection to that why that brought you on the path from 50 forward? What led to you discovering that
opportunity presented itself. Opportunity was there, and I seized opportunity. I had moved a couple years prior to Naples, Florida, after 25 years in Northern Virginia.
Okay.
Being part of my community that I live in has always been important to me, and I think
Mhm.
it should be important to everyone that you find your way to contribute or be involved. And I'm in Naples, and I don't know anyone. Literally, I mean, I'm meeting people, yes, but to even make it even more harrowing, 3 days after I was there, I'm in an emergency room.
Oh, wow.
Having a panic attack, which I thought was a heart attack. It was a panic attack over all of the change that I was. So I'm in an emergency room in a town I just moved to without any medical team behind me.
Mhm.
No doctor to come to I mean, doctors were there,
Right.
but so that
But
sense
not
of
your
I had my
doctor that
husband.
knew you.
My husband, Derek, of 30 years. I mean, he is the best. You've met
Mhm.
Derek. Derek's the best. But that sense of being alone, and it was that desire to make that contribution. But also, all of a sudden, here I am in Naples, and I'm like going, okay, the people I'd love to meet because they've got the thoughts, they're successful, and they've got the ideas. They're spending $500 a plate on going to dinners, and I go to IHOP. So there was a disconnect. We had a little bit of a disconnect. The budget didn't allow me to put myself in a position to connect with these people that would allow me to write this column, allow me to be part of this community, to make my contribution, and allow me to, as you said, deal with my curiosity.
Mhm.
And I cracked the code by doing the column for the newspaper, meeting the people. I could still go to IHOP. They could still spend $500 a plate at their gala.
Right.
I could still meet them. I could learn, but it was the genesis was fitting in and contributing. The byproduct I didn't expect was a passion for the new life I was discovering. I didn't really, and no one's asked me this. No one's ever asked me this. So thank you, because this is a big, you asked a good why question. I didn't expect what happened to happen. I will fast forward to last year. I moved back to my hometown in Columbia, Missouri. I wanted to contribute here. I
Mhm.
spent about a year. I only did 4 podcasts in the year. I'd done it. Susan Bennett, the original voice of Siri, is my
Right.
announcer.
Right.
Susan and I have done this show for 7 years, and I lost my way. We've been here a couple years now. I spent about a year really trying to find my way here, and then all of a sudden I realized what I missed. What I missed was the connection. I missed the interviews. I wasn't only doing 4 shows. One was John Quinones from What Would You Do?
It's
And
so
that was
cool.
just the best. I mean,
Yeah.
what would you do? What you do when you don't think someone's looking. I mean, can't get better from a lesson than that. And I found, wow, in my desire to follow my former path and try to connect, I lost what was most important to me. And that was this.
Right.
That was talking to people. That was sharing with people. That was learning from people. That was meeting new people. And I came back to it with an extraordinary passion, a very renewed passion for what it meant to me. So even what I do now on the nose, on the podcast, means more to me now than when I started 8 years ago with Susan, with Siri.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So
I got to thank you. You're asking me stuff that really is very eye-opening for me. So
well, good.
that's wicked cool that you're doing that. So
That's
thank
good.
you. Thank you for that.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And that passion, so you reclaimed the passion. I would like to ask you if you can share, because there's the cliche, you can't go back home again. And how has it been going back to your hometown? Is it what you expected? Is it different? Like, what has that experience been like? And do you agree with the cliche now? Or do you think you can always go back, return to paradise?
I was gone for 39 years. This lived here for 21, from 62 to 84.
Okay. It's a long time.
I had an emotional connection to Columbia, Missouri that it no longer had with me. So I had
Unrequited.
I had a love affair with my hometown, and my hometown had moved on. I have friends here. My friend
Right.
Sarah, my friend Joy, my friend Robin, my friend Karen. I have friends here that are my friend Sherry, and I like, who am I not going to say? And they're going to go, why didn't you say me? And I know I'm missing people, but I had friends from back then. I had friends that were there for me, but I was still in a community of people who didn't know me. They didn't know anything about me. I have not found the community to be terribly welcoming for whatever reason. They're happy with the status quo, whatever. And all I want to do is contribute. And I've been in situations where I've said to people, I'm trying to contribute, and I don't feel like you're being welcoming. I've been candid and polite. One other thing you need to understand about me, and I'm not saying I'm perfect at this. One of my best friends is Peggy Post from the Emily Post Institute. Emily Post wrote a book in 1922 called Etiquette. That extraordinary family has maintained her brand for over 100 years. The 20th edition of Emily Post Etiquette came out in 2022. Ask me about Emily and I gotcha. And one of my best friends is an etiquette maven. She was the modern day Emily Post for 20 years. So courtesy and thoughtfulness is what I strive to do.
Yes.
And I fail. Oh, it's very hard to do that. I failed with her all the time. Oh my God, I put my elbows on the table. I've spoken with my mouth. Not full, but not empty. I practically spilled on her, and she has I'm a disaster around her. It's like, if anything bad can happen, I haven't farted in her presence, thank God. I'm like, no, I mean, she would forgive me anything because Peggy Post measures people by their hearts, not by their activity. Oh,
not by the fork they pick up.
Yeah, exactly. And if I also, and I can call her and ask her anything. And to this day, that poor thing, she retired. There's more posts, a new set of posts now running the show. Poor Peggy has to put up with me. And so it has been challenging. But like I said, the relationship I had with, I think what it is, and I've not stated this before, the relationship I had with my hometown, it no longer had with me.
Yes.
And I think that's when you go home anywhere, I think most people are going to encounter that. Because I think in some ways you go home and you expect the marching band, and the key to the city, and they're all so glad to see you. And you're more of a like, who are you?
Right.
But it pointed me back, and I'm still involved, and I've met wonderful people, and I celebrate Columbia. I celebrate what Columbia is trying to do, especially artistically. I've met some extraordinary people, but it also was such a great, great, great chance for me to learn because I pay attention. What's happening? I pay attention to what's happening in my life. What am I learning from this? What I'm learning is I missed what I was so passionate about before, and that helped drive me back to what I needed to be doing, what I needed to do for my soul.
Which is great. And that's reconnecting with the On the Nose podcast and interviewing and finding those people, both famous, slightly famous, and everyday, that have those incredible stories to share.
And it's crazy who says yes to me. And it's crazy people think, oh, you have to be famous to be on your show. No, you have to have a good story.
Yeah.
And most of them have some sort of notoriety in their niche.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, Erin Brockovich has been on my podcast 4 times. I met her in my first interview. We bonded. We're both from the Midwest. We're basically the same age. And she's one of my best friends. She's as dear to me as she can be. I wanted to meet Pat Benatar in this is at the beginning. We're talking about album covers. People who are listening, I'm showing the Pat Benatar's Get Nervous album cover. And I'm in college. Shouldn't surprise you. I'm doing singing telegrams in college. That was what I did for money.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And awesome. I'm a singing chicken. I'm a singing clown, whatever, and balloons and stuff. Wanted to meet Pat Benatar, sent her a singing telegram. It worked.
Excellent.
She was so gracious and kind about the entire process that she changed my life. She made me realize what I could do. 33 years later, I was backstage to interview her for my column in Naples, Florida. And I slid a copy of the telegram that she had signed because I said, will you sign my copy of the telegram? And Pat Benatar said, only if you will sign mine. Which is class. Oh, so classy.
That's awesome.
I'm 20 years old. I mean, she's just so classy. So 33 years later, I'm slide this copy and she looks at me, her mouth drops open. She goes, I don't just remember the telegram. I remember you.
That's amazing.
And she's my everything. She is my everything. I will share with you one of the things she said to me is my fiction book, Ruby, very much, I'm having a lot of fun having discussions about what a movie of that could look like.
Right.
And I'm having meetings that I never thought I would have. with
Mhm.
people I never thought I would meet. I do not have a deal. There's not a meeting coming out. Don't get all excited. Randy has a movie. No, Randy is thrilled that he's playing in a playground he never thought he'd have access to.
And if you happen to have an interest in securing rights to it, reach out.
I do. I have
You never
everything.
know who's listening. We don't know who's listening
Ruby.
to this. There we go. Yes.
It's fiction. And I actually have that, and I'm having these opportunities to have these discussions, and it's been absolutely extraordinary.
I think it's great. But what are your plans moving ahead? So when you think about where you're living, and as you said, you're very connected, you love what's happening in the arts. I'm excited to hear that it's a city in the Midwest that is flourishing and attempting to grow and change and
Oh,
all
yeah,
of
it's a
that.
college town, so that
Yeah.
that gives it a
So
very
that's exciting.
special edge culturally and artistically. Absolutely,
Perfect.
and I love
Right. So
that about
that's
where we
great.
are.
But when you and Derek think about the future, any thoughts around that of what you might do or what you might consider? Or are you blooming where you're planted at the moment?
What? Okay, something's happening that I didn't expect. God, you're taking me to all sorts of new, wonderful places. I love that. I'm 63, and whether I realize it or not, all of a sudden, okay, I'm going to have to back up. My father, at 66, 30 some odd years ago, called me and said, this retirement thing is not all it's cracked up to be. You can't do this.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. This is not for you. So for decades now, I've had my father going, you're way too high strung. You're way too high energy. I knew what he meant.
Yes.
And you need to figure it out. Well, now I'm looking at retirement, and people celebrate retirement, and I want to celebrate for them, but part of me's sad because I don't want to do that.
Right.
If I'm not creating, I'm not living. I'm just not. Whether I'm directing a show on stage, whether I am writing a book, an article, whether I am helping teaching public speaking, which I do,
Yes.
which I am working on doing content and creating content for the healthcare industries that I work with, nonprofit, whatever. That's me. And I can't imagine not doing that. What I've realized we're doing as part of your question, I'm setting up my retirement business.
Oh, there you go.
And that in and of itself is something I didn't see coming. And I've only recently started talking again. This is this is really the first time I've done a show to talk about that. But what is this going to look like? Because you now all of a sudden have to pay attention to when's Medicare kick in. What do you need? What's it going to look like financially? You work with your financial planner and you have all these discussions about what do you have? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And how are you going to maintain? And I've maintained the whole time. As long as I can make a meaningful contribution and I can create, I'm gonna.
Good.
But it's looking at it's Randy Retired Inc. That is fascinating. And Randy Retired Inc. is pretty cool. Because everything I've done has already been pushing me. I've run my own company, consulting business, Mindzoo, 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 it fits, for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
So for 25 years, I've been going down a path as an entrepreneur, as a solopreneur at times,
Yes.
of creating and doing what I want and looking for new opportunities. What I think I'm doing really right now is I'm actually doing, other than just hosting my podcast, I'm doing this more.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you know what? The best way for me to get my word out is for me to guest on other shows. So you're like, since I kind of made that decision, you're the first one. I mean, I've been on other shows, but you're like the first one since I kind of made you asked a question, I made a conscious decision. I'm going to be on more podcasts, and once I made that decision for 2026, you're the first one that asked, and I enthusiastically said yes. So that's just perfect.
Yes. It is perfect. I love that.
I made a decision to do that. Even with my own podcast, having written a book, and I know that's like your baby, I'm shifting more into specifically talking to authors.
Amazing. People
who have written books, and I don't really care. See, the thing is that the problems with podcasts is, my podcast and your podcast are very similar. We know that. Mm-hmm. We're conversations that make you better people. That's what we're both doing. And I love you for doing it. You love me for doing it. We're good. So, but you still want to find your niche.
Yes.
And they yell at you if you don't find your niche. Well, you know what? Hashtag nicheless. I don't want to live in a niche.
We don't need no stinking niches.
No. I don't want to live in a niche.
Yeah.
So if my niche is arts and humanities, the humanities include publishing. The humanities include, I mean, you think about, well, books. It includes books. That would, humanities is pretty big. If it's arts and humanities, my friend Robin Hauser is a documentarian. She does a documentary film. She's brilliant. Robin Hauser on medical on egg freezing.
Okay.
Well, I don't know anything about that, but I don't want to live in a niche. So if I want my show to feature my friend Robin's documentary on what's happening in the world with fertility and women and freezing their eggs, and that was a brilliant movie. It's called Thaw. I want to do that, but I still am under my umbrella. I'm in my niche.
Yes.
Of arts and humanities and books and things like that. I'm in my niche, but I'm still able to explore broadly within that niche. And that's been really that every time. I mean, how insanely cool. Somebody writes a book, I get to read it, and then I get to talk to them. Who gets to do that? I get to do that.
You get to do that.
Yeah,
yes.
I get to do that. I saw on CBS Sunday morning, a gentleman, David Lubin, he'd written a book on the 75th anniversary of the movie Sunset Boulevard. I love the movie Sunset Boulevard. I'm obsessed with the musical. I love it. So I find his name, I write him, say, can I read your book and talk to you? He said, yes.
It's great.
And so I get to, and then what's so cool is when you read the book, I get to study it. So I do like a show every 2 weeks, and I get to spend 2 weeks just living and breathing and studying this person's work, because when I read, I got to be good. I got to study. I got to take notes, because I'm arrogant enough to think I'm good enough to talk to the author after I'm done. No pressure. But if I were to say to people, read the book as if you're going to speak with the author.
It changes how you read.
And let me tell you, it changes how you read it, because I have to spend so much time. A gentleman named Mark Malkoff did my show. He wrote a book called Love, Johnny Carson on 30 Years of the Tonight Show. It is a brilliant book. And he changed me, because one of the things his book explored and Love, Johnny Carson was the prep. It looked so effortless. And even though so much of it was spontaneous on Johnny Carson's part, there was a lot of planning that went into the effortless appeal of any of these talk shows. As a result of that, he's even taken me up a notch. I was like, you know what? I still want to be conversational, but I'm going to take tips from this book from Mark, and I'm going to plan even better, and I'm going to be even better prepared. And I got tips from Johnny Carson.
That's great.
You know, me and my staff of dog, I mean, Alexander, who hasn't shown up, I told you Alexander could show up. My staff of dog, we have a little less bandwidth than the Tonight Show does for planning. That Mark Malkoff's wonderful book has changed me. It's changed me, but I allow it to. I allow all of these people to change me.
You let it in.
Yeah. I let it in. I let it in. I scream and beg for it to come in.
I feel that your approach of saying, I'm reading the book as if I am going to interview the author, gives you a perspective shift. How often do we find that we're reading a book to see whether or not we like it or think it's good enough? Those are two different perspectives. So you're not reading it necessarily with this, is it good or bad? Or you like in a black and white trap, or, you're reading it from a different perspective. And I believe that has enhanced what you take away from reading it.
Going to bring this one up again. Buckeye. So many people have read it. I read it for education. I read it so I would be a better writer. I read it so what is he doing that can make me better? I had 18 pages of notes on my Kindle. I mean, a ridiculous number of notes on my Kindle of universal truths and statements from this book that applied inside the book and outside the plot.
Wow.
There's so many comments because they reflect Patrick. His belief system is in these characters. My belief system is in the Ruby characters. So much so that the hero in Ruby, his name is Derek Wakefield. My husband's name, Derek Wakefield. Yeah, you knew that was coming.
I knew right away. Yeah.
Every single person in Ruby is actually named after a real person or some sort of combination of a real person. There's a character, Nellie Pearl, in Ruby, who is at the memory care center. Mm-hmm. That is part of the thing. And Nellie Pearl is my mother.
Wow.
And to anybody who reads Ruby and reads what Nellie Pearl is up to, it's not a big role. not a big part of the story, but Nellie Pearl is at a memory care center, and they say, I wonder if Randy's mom, Nellie Pearl, really did that. My mom, Nellie Pearl, really did that. I'll tell you.
Okay.
That woman she was a character, as they would say, and my mom really did that. But an author's belief system is so often reflected in their fiction and their nonfiction.
Right.
And finding that belief system in there is insanely cool.
Well, mentioning your mother and the Randy's retirement.
Whose picture is everywhere. I'm not sure how big there's pictures of mom. I'm not sure how wide you're getting. But there are literally pictures of my mom. My mom was ridiculously gorgeous, and there are pictures of her all over the bookshelf.
Yeah,
she was
I've got
insanely
some of mine
beautiful
on here as well. And one of my favorites, it's a picture of my mom and my son on a train ride in Colorado. But there's a crossover in points with Randy's Retirement Incorporated. It made me think about my mother. So she very similar to you, and sounds like similar to your father, and similar to someone else in this podcast room. She reached a point where a lot of her friends and a lot of people were retiring, and financially she did not have to work, which anyone listening, I understand that's a component of our conversation. I understand that. She didn't have to work financially. However, she realized she loved knowing she was needed somewhere. She loved knowing she had somewhere to go and a purpose. She loved keeping her technology skills sharp and on point. And she became very quiet about how old she was, which she's of that generation where she always was quiet about how old she was. And I'm going to share with everyone, she worked full time because she wanted to and because she enjoyed it. And she was part of the heart and soul of this defense contracting firm where she worked until she was 83. And I believe it kept her young. She is now still living independently in a house she had custom built for herself after my father passed and all 5 kids were up and away. Still travels, still drives. She's 89. I don't know
You
if
hit
that's their
such a
age,
nerve.
but
Can I jump on it because you just hit such a nerve with me? I saw a book was available called The Mattering Instinct by Rebecca Goldstein, and I hope I have the name right. And I was like, it's about our need to matter.
Yes.
To be valued, to be loved, to feel important. And that's what goes away. I mean, I've talked to, and I won't say who, but I've talked to very famous older people in my line of work who are lonely, and they're famous.
Yes.
And they are lonely. And I wrote this, Rebecca, and I said, my keynote is called The Importance of Importance. So kind of my umbrella on one of my major keynotes is that's our need, that we need to be valued. I lived in Florida. Florida taught me how to age.
Yes.
And let me tell you, these people needed to be valued. And sometimes they would, by God, tell you how important they still were. Because you had the retired CEO that would not realize you have to stand in line with everybody else. And they didn't always like it.
Right.
They didn't always like it. But it is a need to be loved, to be valued, to be important, the important of importance. But then I take it a step further by trying to take the time to understand what is important to Bridget.
Right.
So it's not about the importance for me. I've expanded that. Right now, I'm actually by the time this comes out, the show may be live, but I wrote this woman. She's a professor at Harvard, and I was like, I have to talk to you. And she was like, wow. She knew immediately we were kindred spirits, and I'm elated to be able to do that. I will add too, along what you were saying, is having lived in Florida, and I've written a lot of stuff on healthcare. I'm very proud that healthcare is something that I've written about a lot. And we talk a lot about physical health, physical well-being and stuff like that. Let me tell you, in Florida, that was true. But mental well-being, being involved, learning, being engaged, the happiest people were those people.
Yes.
That were engaged and involved and not going to, and I had a lot of people I would run into, you'd be on a board and they'd show up like you're so lucky they're there. And we are. I mean, we are lucky you're here. We're lucky you're but you're lucky we're here
to
teach you. It's a reciprocal scenario.
Yes.
And I saw situations where people were missing that. They weren't seeing the reciprocity in the relationship. So here I am at 47, I moved to Naples. At 50, I start this new journey.
Right.
And then I'm in Naples, sort of later middle age. Then I get older, and now I'm in Missouri. So yeah, I kind of did it backwards. But even to swing way back, what the future holds for us from a standpoint of where on the map are we going to be, I don't actually know. Where we're going to be literally and where we're going to be emotionally are different things. So we're more attuned to what do we want that part of our life to look like in a more global sense. And as long as I have Wi-Fi and reasonable access to an airport, I'm pretty good. So when
Me
it comes
too.
right down to it, Derek gets whatever Derek wants. I will go where Derek wants to go. He's, really, I had a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old when we met, and he came into that, and that's not something he wanted. He didn't really say, oh, yeah, let me be a soccer mom. I mean, but so he really did so much and has continued to give so much and allow me and support me and be there for me. And all of my whims and all my creativity and all the time I spend away while I'm working on this project or that project. For one thing, thank you, Derek. Secondly, where we go is up to him. I want that to be for him.
That's awesome. Side note on your father. Did he find a retirement career?
No.
No? Okay.
No. Born and raised here. Funny, wonderful man. His little group, his coffee group at the mall, they were so good to him. Frank from the coffee group at the mall. Frank, I ran into something recently, and Frank reintroduced himself, and I started tearing up, and I hugged him, and I was like, and his wife was in there, said he was so good to my father. My father was so funny and so engaging and so private, but he was truly, as I said in his eulogy, it's very rare that we call someone a good man.
Mm-hmm.
Think about when was the last time you called someone a good man? My father was a good man. No, he didn't find the job, and he was lonely. And he had a tough time. My sisters were here. They worked so hard to make sure that was not the case. But also, you can only do so much when he's choosing to be alone. He was choosing to be alone.
Yes.
He cared for my mother, for 15 years. He was doing it by himself. He's a godsend. If I can please really quickly do a shout out to Janet Ivanovich, author Janet Ivanovich.
Oh, yeah. Of course you can.
Who is my friend, lives in Naples, who I love. And I'll tell you why I love Janet. Okay. This is where we get them. One year, I called Janet, and I was like, can you sign books for me to give your books away for Christmas? And she said, yes. I said, can you sign 26? She says, yeah. So I'm buying up all the Ivanovich I could find all over town.
Right.
I go to her house. She signs them. I asked my dad, he reads 2 books a year. Do you even want one? He said, yeah. So he actually was tipped off it was coming. 2 weeks after he got his signed Janet Ivanovich Stephanie Plum book. Was like number 20 because they're in order.
Right.
He said, you can tell that, Janet, that was the funniest book I ever read.
Oh.
And I was like, you read it? Long story short, in 6 months, he'd read all 20. My sisters were running out like trying to score drugs. Like, Dad needs more Ivanovich. Give me more Plum. I mean, they're like going to the library. They're trying to buy. We need to score 13, a 7, and a 9. And I'm a Virgo, and Dad's reading them out of numerical order. So I'm losing my mind that he's reading them out of order. Yeah, I know. Terrifying. He became a bibliophile at 80.
It's great.
He just became a voracious reader at 80. And I had so many. Randy Wayne White sent him books. My friend Susie Weinert would send him books. Janet, I told Dad before he died, I said, you do understand when you got a book signed, it was from Janet, right? You knew Janet sent that to you. He had forgotten. I said, no, that wasn't for me. Those were from Janet.
Right.
Because I told Janet, I said, you changed this man's life. And she said to me, her job was to make people happy. If you felt like you had a bad day and you wanted to kick the cat or yell at the kids, it was her job as a writer to make you happy. My father's job was to take care of my mother with Alzheimer's. Yeah. And Janet Ivanovich made him happy.
That's awesome.
She changed his life, and I love her for what she did for him.
I'm sure that.
And I think it had so much to do with his mental capacity. I'm so convinced that he was so on the ball up until the very end at 92. He became more foggy at the end, which I think is going to happen no matter what. But he was so on the ball up to the very end because he read and read and read and read, and he worked his mind. He was curious.
That's awesome. And that's a gift for Janet as well. When you relayed that message to her from your dad, that had to be a
she
huge
could.
gift.
I'm going to speak for her because she almost, you could tell, didn't really know what to say. It was
Mhm.
almost more than she knew, because in her mind, she was just being Janet. She was just writing books that people enjoy. That's her job, is to make people. I'm the happy writer. That's her job. And to find out she had that level of impact almost went beyond her. She almost couldn't take the compliment
Like she
because
couldn't process, cannot compute.
she
Like,
almost didn't take the compliment. And here I am still going, Janet Ivanovich, Janet Ivanovich. I mean, I will scream and shout and thank her and love her forever for what she did for him. And she
yeah.
will probably always kind of go, well, okay, I was just writing my books. I mean,
Mhm.
she's the gifts that we give people when we don't know we're giving them. Those are the best.
Those are the best.
Yeah.
They're absolutely the best.
Yeah.
It's not the monetary. It's when you actually really touch inside someone and you don't even know it.
Yeah. Yep.
It's remarkable.
Yep. Yeah. Incredible.
So, Randy, when you look at, we're in 2026 currently, your book is out, your nonfiction is out there, and you're working on Randy's Retirement Incorporated. What about Derek Wakefield, who's both in the book and in your world? So important. So what Derek wants, Derek gets. Anything else coming up on the horizon in 2026 that is for you? So do you have passions or hobbies, or
This is
what do you
it. No,
what do you
people are
do
like,
for
is
yourself?
all you
It's
do is
this.
work? Yes, I
Mhm.
create. I'm happiest when I create. I will tell you one of the things, what I really feel I'm best at. What I feel I'm best at is getting on a stage in
Great.
front of a group and dissecting the lessons of 300 plus people to the specific topic of that organization. Because I can dissect it for all ages. I mean, I've got a million of these. And I tell the Ivanovich story. I tell the Brockovich stories. I tell the Benatar stories. I tell the Susie Orman stories. I mean, and I tell stories about, and I have news stories. I mean, I have this one. I have the
Right.
Buckeye stories that I didn't have
Right.
before. And to repackage these and be on stages, I'm an actor and I did professional improv. So that's my happy space. That's my great space. I've always been so busy, I haven't had time to build that speaking business. That's what I want. I want to be on your
I
stage. I
love
want to
it.
be talking to your people. It's edutainment, infotainment, pick your word, but we
Okay.
can be entertained and we can learn at the same time. That is my heart and my soul, and the number one thing that I want to start happening more in 2026 is that I get on a stage, and hopefully more stages and inspire more people as the way I've inspired, because I'm really cheating. I'm reteaching other people's stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I'm repackaging what I learned from other people, but that's what everyone does anyway.
Correct.
You know, but I do not take credit for anybody else's work. I will always credit, I learned this from this person, this person, this person.
Right.
But yeah, I want more stages. I want more stages.
Amazing. And that is going to be part of your big why in what you're doing every
Yeah.
day as you get up. So that your why is you want to get on those stages, touch people, and share even more of the wisdom you've acquired through others
Yeah.
on this journey.
Yes.
I love it. All right. Will there be more fiction?
Yes.
Good. Okay.
A
Good.
second Ruby book is in development. Oh, I guess I'm announcing that here. Yes. Newsflash. Yeah, a second Ruby book is in development. Have two more plans. The second one is, until I understand exactly, I know exactly where, I know exactly what issues I'm addressing. I know the characters. I know subplots. I know some of the plot, but I have to be able to have a working guide of the entire book in order to really start working.
Weaving it, because you have to
Yeah.
weave. You have
I
to
mean,
weave the story.
this book very quickly was inspired by Cynthia Rhodes from Dirty Dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I told you about that. Have I said this on that show? I didn't say it
No.
today. No,
No.
just really quickly. Cynthia Rhodes, oh my God, amazing. I think I'm
Amazing.
the only journalist she talked to when she was in Naples, the only one I've written about her. Nobody else has since like 1990.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to be a mom and a grandma, and she got what she wanted. I love her for it. She came to see me on stage as the monster in a production of Young Frankenstein the musical. So here am I, like 7 feet tall and green, tap dancing as a monster in front of Cynthia Rhodes and Dirty Dancing. That was
Right.
an unexpected thing. I love her so much and always have. I told her I can't write fiction. She said, "You're wrong." Took out her Cynthia Rhodes fairy dust, and a week later I had the outline for that book. And it's largely the exact book that got published. It was as simple as Cynthia Rhodes saying, "You're wrong.
You're wrong.
You can."
Yeah.
And I did. And my
amazing.
protagonist in this book is not Ruby, is Cynthia. And Cynthia Rhodes and Cynthia Grant in the book share the characteristic as they find adversity and challenge interesting. And I'll leave it at that.
I can't wait to read it.
Yeah.
My copy's on the way, as you shared with me.
Yeah.
I can't
Oh,
wait
and
to
shame
read
on
it.
me for not sending it to you sooner.
Well, no, shame on me because I was so excited to talk to you. I was like, no, I want to talk now. So we may have to do a little like redux after I'm done reading the book with this show. And I believe there are people that are here having a cup of coffee, listening to you and I have this conversation. If someone is out there and Randy, they're feeling like they don't know the next step to take in their own life, or there's steps they've wanted to take and they were afraid to do it for whatever reason. And I mean, even if they're young, old, wherever they are, could you share from your experience, what is a smallest size, bite-sized step they could take for themselves if they're feeling stuck, if they feel as if they can't write the book, if they feel as if they're handcuffed to their current habits in life? What's one small act they could do to just move the needle slightly?
Read You Are Enough by Panache Desai.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's been
My
a
friend
guest on my
Panache.
show. Did you know that?
No. Yeah, he's been on mine. They lived in Naples. I've been to
I
their
just
house.
got chills.
I love them.
You are
he's
enough.
he's insane. It's just everything he says. It's just like, read You Are Enough, because it's true.
Yes.
Because it's true.
Read You Are Enough by Panache Desai.
And the big thing
I'll put the link to his episode right under Randy. Watch the episode with him. We had such a fun conversation. I'm sure you can imagine.
He's amazing. His wife's amazing. I love them. I mean, there's so many. But if you can copy me, all I did was I sat down and started talking to people who were living a life that I admired. Those people are at your church. They're in your social situations. They live next door. I was in a play. I was in Naples, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. The producers of the show were Jack and Claire. Nice, older, mature couple. Didn't know anything about them. 3 months later, I found out that Jack McKinney is Magic Johnson's first professional basketball coach at the LA Lakers. Like a professional basketball coach, Jack McKinney.
Right.
I didn't know that. And that really, I was like going, oh my God, I'm in line at Walgreens in Naples, Florida, and we don't know who is next to me in line at Walgreens and what do they know and what can they teach me?
Yes.
If you've got a shell, get out of that shell, sit down with people you trust that are living a life and just do what we just did. Have this conversation. Let them teach you. Frankly, listen to my show.
Yes.
My show is going to make you, I'm looking for the best in people. So I'm not doing anything terribly negative. I'm positivity. Very similar to this show. Frankly, I would say to my people to listen to you. You would say to your people, listen to me.
I will be saying the same. Yes.
Yeah. It's so much, but listen and take action. If you listen to a show and you don't take a note and you don't do anything, nothing's going to change if you sit on your butt.
That's right.
It really isn't. It's only going to change if you take action.
Right.
And I'm not saying anything new, but I'm trying to put it in real, like, no, do it.
Do it. Actually do it.
Actually do it. Make the change. Take the advice. No one ever gets to tell you you're less than. And I know you've heard that before, but you are not. And if there's one thing that comes with aging, by God, we know that.
Yes.
No, we are so equal. We're so profoundly equal.
Right.
Profoundly equal and deserving of the same opportunities. We really are.
Well, this has been a remarkable conversation that I could keep going on with for hours and hours. Thank you.
I have to thank
Randy.
you. You took me places. You really took me places I haven't gone.
Oh, good.
And you asked me stuff I've not been asked. And you made me think. And you did a lot of why. You did a lot of why. You did more why than how. You did more why than how.
I tend to live in why.
Why is a great place to live. Yeah. How was a good one. Because my answer to your last question was a lot of how. What was the how?
Yes.
But the why is that you believe in yourself.
Because you know people. And you and I probably have had times in our life, all of us have had a time where we are in the situation I'm going to say. We've all had times where we felt stuck and didn't know what to do
Mhm.
and felt heaviness or a burden or as if we were not seeing our own selves clearly or what was possible, right? So that's why I like that little how, because when you and I have this exciting conversation where are sharing so much of what has already been accomplished. Sometimes people just need that one little take this first step, read this one book because they can discover their why. If you're feeling disconnected from your why, that little how that we just did may allow someone to.
And seriously, no one gets to tell you no. And if you have people in your life who are telling you no, I know those are complicated situations
Complicated.
often, but they're wrong.
That's right.
They're wrong. That's right.
Just like Cynthia Rhodes told you were wrong.
She told me I was
They are
wrong. Oh,
wrong.
Randy, I mean, she'd hate me for saying this. She's perfect. She just is. She told me I was wrong.
She
And
is
I went,
one of the most incredible dancers I've
oh, she's in
ever
Flashdance.
seen.
She was Tina Tech in
Ever.
Flashdance.
The Dirty Dancing.
She's Rosanna. She's Rosanna. She dances in the
I
Rosanna
know.
video.
I
She's
know.
Rosanna. Yeah.
Believe me, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I took my 23-year-old son, to see Dirty Dancing on the big screen because
Yeah.
I said, you must see this dancer, right? Like, also, I loved the story and all of it, but I said, you have to see this woman dance
Oh,
because it's extraordinary what she was able to do. And I also find what she developed with her whole life also to be extraordinary by knowing what was right for her and flourishing in that.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, she did.
Yeah.
And she followed the path that she wanted to follow. And that path took her right out of Hollywood.
Yes, it did. Yes.
And
Yeah.
it did. And it's kind of cute because I'm the person who interviewed her. And now I'm opening the door to this again. People send stuff to me to send to her. And yes, I do send them.
Oh.
I do send them. But yeah, I've heard from people in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
People love her.
But yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
And frankly, Ruby would be a movie already if she would do it. And I know she won't because that's not who she is, not what she wants. And I told her,
That's
I said,
right.
I just want you to know this would be a movie already if you would do it. I've basically been told that, but I'm not going to ask you to do it because you don't want to do it. That's not who you are. I just want to love you for inspiring me in the first place and being in my corner.
Yeah. It's really big. You
Yeah.
were her one person that day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know how we talked about at the beginning of this podcast. If our conversation, if one person hears something, sees themselves differently, takes a different action, we're successful.
Well, people listening to this,
On
please
that
understand.
day when she said to you, Randy, you're wrong.
What
She was successful.
What Bridget's doing for you all as the listener, she's asking me why, and she's doing the show that's helping you. But I just really want to make sure you understand the other big winner is me. Bridget helped me today. You helped me today because you helped me answer and express things that I wanted to express and I wanted to share that I didn't necessarily know how to do. So I'm happy for anything your listener gets out of this discussion, but wow, it's pretty good being me right now.
Thank you.
Because I was the big winner of the Showcase Showdown on The Price is Right.
Did you get both sets? I forget the rules of that, but remember, if you did quite the right thing, then you got like both of them.
Yeah, if you guessed it within $100. If your guess of your showcase was within $100, you got both showcases.
You got both.
I saw something online, and the woman won her showcase during Bob Barker's years, and she passed out. It was something that was online recently. It was very, very cute. It was very cute.
Well,
very,
Randy,
very cute.
Thank you so much for being our guest and for sharing your insights and being open with us. It has been just, as I said, I think you and I could probably talk for 8 hours straight of new things over and over, and it would be... I would get out of that conversation energized. So I want to thank you for that. And if you're listening to this episode of The Inner Estate, I want to thank you for being here with us. Please put your comments in wherever you're consuming this podcast. And I hope that you'll come back and be a guest again as well. Thank you so much.